And hello, and welcome. And I am Marnice Jackson, the Executive Director of the Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition. And today we are coming back with our Meet the Board podcast. We have some new board members who have come on to help support me and the coalition as we move forward to do the work of eliminating fossil fuels in buildings by 2050. Our focus states are Indiana, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, and Ohio. And we're going to get into why Midwest BDC was founded in the first place. Our organizational structure emphasizes operating by the HIMES principles for democratic organizing, the climate justice principles, and centering our work around the people who have been impacted by high energy burden and environmental racism. So joining me today is Leslie Tom. She is the Chief Sustainability Officer at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. She came to this position by way of Wayne State University's Detroit Revitalization Fellowship in 2015. Originally from Tucson, Arizona, Leslie has degrees. Leslie has degrees in architecture and information management systems from the University of Arizona and Information School at US Berkeley, respectively. Leslie spent over 15 years in research and design in both architecture and software industries. She leverages this broad skill set towards implementing messaging for both social and technical aspects of climate crisis. In 2019, she led both the Wright Museum and Michigan Science Center to win the American Alliance of Museums Sustainability Excellence Award. Who She currently chairs the AAM's Environmental and Climate Knowledge Committee and the Detroit 2030 District Venues and Museums Subcommittee. She participates locally at the Community Action Team member for the West Riverfront Conservatory, Michigan Environmental Justice Coalition, Narrative Working Group, and volunteers with the City of Detroit's Green Task Force, USGBC Sustainability Forum Organizing Committee, and Detroit's Water Sewerage Department and Stormwater Hub. Leslie is leading the rights to envision itself as a green museum of the future to include people, planet, profit, and programs through elevating narratives of African diaspora, art, humanities, and history. So, Leslie, with all that I said and all the awesome work that you're doing and all your dedication to the movement, would you like for us to know anything else about you? And welcome.
Thank you. No, that's about it. I'm having a wonderful time. This is my 10th year at the Wright Museum, and it feels like we're it's just expanding into all the different departments, and the museum board of trustees officially made sustainability one of our strategic goals. So it's just really great to be building off of such great foundations.
I agree. And it's very extraordinary to hear a museum is definitely practicing sustainability. I never heard of that until I met you. So my question is, how did you get involved with Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition?
Well, I think I met you at one of the USGBC Detroit, Michigan events, and the museum is wanting to focus on, making different connections to the environmental elements. So a couple years ago, we did an exhibit on trees. Some of the trees on our campus were dead and dying. And instead of mulching them or adding them to the landfill, we created a whole wood shop workshop with the College for Creative Studies across the street from us, and then did an exhibit about the past, present, and future of trees. And it would be great if we could start to think about how to do something similar, but around energy and the sun, or decarbonization. So I'm just trying to find people, and I really appreciate all the community building, coalition building you've been doing at Midwest Building Decarbonization. And that was one of the conversations I had with with our COO, Executive VP, Jeff Anderson, was how can I get involved with groups that are really doing coalition building and education, your model is just so strong and just so exciting to be at all your meetings, seeing how much education and learning and co-learning is happening. So I just feel really appreciative to be able to be part of this group to see how we can leverage a museum platform around decarbonization and education and community learning.
I appreciate you saying that because, expanding out to places that we, really like a family oriented place like a museum, um, that's also aligning with green practices really actually get to the goal of eliminating fossil fuels in buildings, right? And so I just wanted to know, why did you want to be on our board? I appreciate you lifting up the fact that we are doing coalition building, we're educating people, it's a collaborative space. Why did you want to be a part of our board?
Well, I think I went to one of your energy events in Detroit,
Mhm.
and some of the I got to meet some of the board members, and for Aubrey Ajee, for example, he lives just down the street. His dad is also a Black architect in town,
Mhm.
who's built a number of buildings, and I just feel like maybe my background in architecture just is I really like this technical space, and
Mhm.
then being able to figure out how to take these technical you know lenses and apply it to one's real life, whether that's our own personal behaviors or building behaviors, renovations that we're doing in the museum, for example, how that could be learning opportunities. So I just want to surround myself around people who are doing decarbonization and energy efficiency so that we can leverage how that might be represented as an intervention for education in the museum, but also how that conversation shows up in the real world. And I feel like you all are doing that sort of work, and so yeah, I'm here.
No, I appreciate that. And we definitely appreciate your contributions of stepping up to be our board secretary, and working with us. And I can't wait till we start doing strategic planning so we can dive more into the different roles of the built environment, like architecture, right, and engineering. And so I know you have a lot of experience. So for those who don't not have board experience, right? What is something people may not know about board of directors, and how can someone like get on the board? What do they do to contribute to organizations? I know my first position was locally on a board of directors, and I I did not know what it was about, but it was definitely a gateway to me for me to learn how to interact with the community, to get into politics. So, what is your viewpoint on like all of that?
Well, I think the first board I ever joined was the YWCA in Tucson, Arizona. And it was just, being able to be around other women who were helping to uplift and just create structures. I think you were these. Um,
Oh, really?
yeah, just like the preparation and the meetings, and I just feel like I'm excited to be around people who, especially like the whole Midwest,
Hmm.
of just being able to tap into other people's work. I know the last meeting we had, people were sharing just what different members were doing
Hmm.
on a day-to-day basis, and it
Right.
was just like, wow, this is so energizing of being able to know, like, yes, this is why we're practicing these sorts of practices. So yeah, I really do think that yeah, keep going on with like the board, with
Mhm.
being able to give vision and direction. I mean, you even worked with your staff to create a vision board, and it's just sort of like, that's so resonating, because the Wright Museum definitely has a lot of vision boards too
Mhm.
around on how we've focused our work. So yeah, I think in 2019, Neil Barclay, our CEO, sent me to a group from the African American Museum
Mhm.
from the Smithsonian of History and Culture, the largest African American museum in the country. They were doing an environmentalism training.
Mhm.
And that's where we started to focus a little bit more on how a museum and energy could intersect. So we did a lot of brainstorming back in 2019, and it just seems so great to like start to move forward to really find people in and around our community that are also working on energy efficiency projects.
Hmm. So, in your opinion, like for people who are new to, like, you met me by way of coming to an event, and thanks so much for coming. That was our Party with the Purpose ban on gas exports here in Michigan event. And thanks for attending that. So, what would you think would be the best way for people to get on the board of directors? Like, should they just meet somebody? Like, should they volunteer with the organization? Like, what's the best way?
Yeah, I think just start conversations. Just see who's involved and start to see how your passions intersect with Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition.
Mhm.
Um, and I'd say, yeah, just we're all trying to collectively help the environment. And I think it's where do you want to put your time to that would have the most impact on yourself, on your own personal vision, on your community vision. And I think if everything can align, then you can start to figure out how to find the capacity to make it happen. And I really do feel like being able to really focus right now on decarbonization and energy with some of our upcoming work that's going to happen at the museum. I feel like it's really exciting for me to sort of see how these different kinds of connections can happen. I know that, like, for example, I think March 20th, you're having a train the trainer
Mhm.
day. And it's just like, it's so great to be able to um, to find organizations that are helping their constituents and members collectively learn.
Mhm.
And I think you're such a great connector, Marnice, of like being able to start to figure out like, oh, these people are all kind of doing these sorts of things. So let's try to see where groups can start to connect.
Right. So that is in my top five. The connector, if you do the strengths finder, that's connector is definitely one of mine. So it's funny you call that out. I so I wanted to know, like, it's exciting time to do definitely building decarbonization. You know, the whole United States experience like this freezing temperatures, luckily we're getting into spring, hopefully. It's fake winter time right now, but wait, it's fake springtime. But So why should people be excited about energy and climate justice? Like, what what do you wish people knew? Because when I talk about building decarbonization, a huge term, right? And I just have to simplify it for people who may not be spun up on that large term. um what do you wish people knew about energy and climate justice?
Well, I think what makes me excited is when you can start to see patterns and have conversations around data. And that's probably why, even at the Wright Museum, we've started adding sensors into our building.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, even if there's like apps you can start to have where it's like, oh, you can start to see spikes in energy if someone turns on something. And then
Mhm.
I feel like you can really start to think about like the impact you have on all the energy usage
Mhm.
we're doing. Um, I used to have a drawing on my wall of just like the past, present, and future of energy, and it's sort of like, why do we even need energy? So just like understanding that it's like it's for warmth, it's for lighting, it's for you know, what did our ancestors used to do if they were cold? It was like put on a sweater, but you could do the same thing with a building and add insulation. And I just feel like um, being able to really these terms down into plain English where people can start to make decisions when they look at their phone and get all this data,
Mm-hmm.
or whether our building manager director starts to look at some of our sensor data and can start to be like, wait, why is that spiked? Is like a refrigerator door open or something? And so we can start to go figure out why things may not be normal.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other really exciting thing, and it's being kind of like nerdy, is like really caring about like our power factor, for example. So it's like, let's not turn on our chiller in our building on the hottest day when, like when we're turning on all of our lights at the same time. So I just feel like this also has impact when you think about like the utility company, and like how if our building is saying we need this much energy and we actually don't, like that means that now electric companies are having to build extra utility. And so I think like being able to understand how one fits into the whole energy story and platform, and how that affects our neighbors and how that affects ourselves or our utility bill or even our equipment so that it's not running all the time. Like I think I think all of this is sustainability, and then finding people who are trying to really figure all this out and teach everyone else about it, and make those connections, and like, oh yeah, like this group is starting to figure out how to teach about solar, or be able to teach about like getting a refund for some of the different energy upgrades that might be happening. Like I think all of this is so exciting. And that's probably why I have this job, to be able to be like, okay, let's like build infrastructure as well as learning and engagement. And I feel like yeah, so just being around people who are so passionate, that's all they want to talk about, and just like continuing these different conversations just gets things more clear and more exciting, I think, as we all kind of come together and figure out how do we want to live in this new world.
Mm-hmm. So, as we start to wrap up, you started to hint to like what, the joy and what brings you excitement. But, are there some specific projects that you want to tell us about that's, coming up that that you're excited about?
Yeah, sure. Like I feel really excited that the way we've been kind of creating the work at the Charles Wright Museum of African American History
Mm-hmm.
is very holistic with lots of design methodologies.
Mm-hmm.
So we just got aired in London, it was 2 weeks ago, for the Museum Next conference, where now we've joined with like about 340 other museums around the world that are trying to green their infrastructure and their buildings and their learning and engagement. The Wright Museum was told that we're the second time that we've been on, which is the first time that the first museum that's been on twice now.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that. And if you look at our website, www.thewright.org, go to about and find sustainability. Our little video is there on the Museum Next talk. And then UD Mercy's Dichotomy magazine that's going to be published in May is in much more depth of how we've set things up. We want to try to help show other museums or other buildings or other building owners how to think about being holistic in bringing sustainability ideas, whether that's through energy, water, trees, anything dealing with the natural environment.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing that into a building or into an institution is something that the Wright Museum, on this journey of 10 years, we want to kind of help not make it a 10-year journey for everyone else and give some hints, tricks, and frameworks. So look for that Dichotomy article in May from UD Mercy.
Awesome. And yeah, make sure you send it to me and we can amplify it on our website, as a blog
Okay, great.
post and how it relates to, building decarb and indoor air quality. So of course we can definitely do that. Um, so I was wondering, as we start to wrap up, outside of work, what are some of your passions and what do you enjoy spending your time doing? Because you have a lot of committee and volunteerism going on, but what do you
I
do?
know, actually, I think that was an old bio because some of those are not even in existence.
Okay.
But that's okay. Yeah. Well, what I really like doing for fun is being out in nature. So whether that's snowshoeing in the winter, like I really love the snow and the winter times.
Mhm.
But I also love the summer around here because I do rowing on Belle Isle.
We
So
should go.
anyone that wants to go, it's at the boathouse. It's so
Okay.
much fun.
Hmm.
Um, and so it's like being able to exercise while you're in nature, I
Hmm.
think is a highlight of being in Michigan.
Hmm. Well, it's funny when I ask that question. When I do these podcasts, a lot of the podcast individuals, they are doing something. Some of their favorite things to do is definitely environmentally related
Nice.
outside of profession. So I haven't really met anybody who said anything else outside of that's not related to the environmental movement. So it's that's good to hear. So and people need to get out in nature. It's very relaxing. So Leslie, I wanted to say thank you so much for coming on to do Meet the Board podcast. So I can't wait to continue to work with you. Under of course your direction, as a member of the board of directors. So I appreciate your service to Midwest BDC, and I look forward to like working with you as we continue to move Midwest BDC forward. So I thank you for coming on. And
Thank you.
so, for those who are watching and viewing this information, we do have some exciting events coming up. If you're a member of Midwest BDC, we offer our speaker ambassador, where you can go out and take building decarbonization on the road of being a champion of our coalition. Our trainee is coming up on Thursday. You can register by going to our website, midwestbdc.org. And then next week, me and Tanya Pulaski, me and her will be facilitating celebrating women and building decarbonization. This is our eco womanism and ecofeminism edition. So next week, follow us and go to our website, midwestbdc.org, to register for that workshop, aka training. So I like to say thank you, Leslie, and I will see you in the next meeting.
That was good. Thanks, Marnies.